Thanksgiving Eve here on this Wednesday evening as we will preview the two games that will be played on Turkey Day tomorrow, Detroit and Houston, and Washington football team against the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, Baltimore and Pittsburgh will be pushed to Sunday due to COVID-19 restrictions, regulations, and safety protocols. So let's start with the first game of the day, Mike. Detroit and Houston, in one that doesn't have a ton of implications going forward into the standings. Detroit has been middle of the road and a 500 team. Houston is a team in transition. They fire Bill O'Brien after the first 4 games. They don't have a first-round pick. Deshaun Watson has played really well. They're trying to figure things out on defense and get some more weapons and protection around Watson. What are your sort of thoughts going into this game about Detroit and Houston at noon?
Well, this is obviously not a very exciting matchup. This was definitely probably the weakest matchup. Maybe you want to argue Washington and Dallas, but there's a division at stake in that game. Look, both teams are not very good. They both have bad running attacks. So, you know, it's to me, it comes down to the quarterbacks in this game. I personally, look, I'm a big fan of Deshaun Watson, and, you know, I'm going to have to go with the Texans in this one just because I like Matthew Stafford as well, but I'm not impressed with the Lions. I'm not impressed with either team, to be honest. But look, when it comes down to it, the last 10 games that the Lions have played where they were favored, they lost. I mean, excuse me, that made no sense. What I meant to say was they're 3-7 against the spread in the last 10 home games. That's what I meant to say. So, you know, they don't come out in the big game. You know, it's just I don't trust them. I like Texans in this game, and you know, I'm just gonna go with Houston in this one.
This is a tough game for me to get a read on because the Lions are so sort of inconsistent. They have a couple of wins this year over a team like Arizona that make you sit there and say, okay, this is a team that is moving in the right direction. And then they lose 20-0 to the Carolina Panthers last weekend against a quarterback who was last seen in the XFL. So I don't really know what to make of Detroit at all. I think that Houston is not the greatest of football teams, but their issues have been exacerbated by a really difficult schedule at the beginning of the season. Like, they were going to go 0-4 unless they played really good football out of the gate, and they have holes. There's no denying that. And then once you go 0-4, you lose your head coach, things can get off the rails a little bit. But I was really impressed with the way they played against New England last weekend. I liked what I saw. Deshaun Watson was fantastic in that game. I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to go with Houston here. Just too much inconsistency with Detroit. And you never know. They're at home, and it is Thanksgiving. But I just think that, as you rightly point out, the advantage in quarterback is with Houston. And I think that's what's going to make the difference in this game because everything else is inconsistent. The quarterbacks can make the day. And I think Deshaun Watson is going to do that for Houston. Let's move on to the second and last game of the day. Again, with that cancellation, Washington and Dallas with the ever so coveted NFC East crown on the line. Both teams are 3-7. The Washington football team making a number of quarterback changes throughout this season. Of course, starting the year with Dwayne Haskins, they move on to Kyle Allen. He gets hurt. It's now Alex Smith at the helm. And just really difficult to get a read on either of these two teams too. Dallas looks like they're dead in the water a couple weeks ago. Mike McCarthy starts smashing pumpkins and they have found new life. Washington didn't seem like a team that was very good during the middle of the season. They started pretty strong. They beat the Giants, who now seem like they would be the most talented team in this division. So a lot to unpack here. And for me, this is a huge game because Dallas, as bad as they have been, if they win this one, I think they might be on their way, as crazy as that sounds, because their schedule is so easy going forward. The Giants have a difficult one. Washington has just been so inconsistent with how they've played, although I think they could make a run at it as well. I don't know how you feel about this game, but I think there are major implications on the line. Although they're not great football teams, as you said, this is going to be interesting to watch.
Well, like you said, this is a it's hard to pick this game. These teams are not good. This year's NFC East is probably, without a doubt, the worst division in NFL history. So when in doubt, we got to turn to history to kind of help us out here. So Washington is actually 1-8 all time against Dallas on Thanksgiving. So look, history does not favor the Washington football team in this game. And just beyond that, I think this Dallas is a better team. Look, we understand that Mike McCarthy hasn't exactly blown it up, done an amazing job in Dallas this year. I like Washington's defense. I think they have a good defense. Dallas defense is a dumpster fire. But look, you have a competent quarterback in Andy Dalton. You're coming off a big, well, in the scheme of things, because now you're on the hunt for the division, a big win against Minnesota last week. Zeke had his first 100-plus yard rushing game of the season. Is this going to be a blowout game? No, it's going to be close. Honestly, now that Baltimore Pittsburgh is not happening this weekend, this is tomorrow. This is probably the most exciting Thanksgiving game we got. I'm going to go with Dallas in this one, just because I think at the end of the day they have more playmakers on offense. This is an offensive league. I like the fact that they're building some momentum after that last win. And look, to me, the winner of this game is probably going to win the division, like you said. I think Philly is atrocious. I think Carson Wentz, I don't know what happened to him. The Giants, I'm sorry, Giants fans, you're not winning the division. I'm sorry to break it to you. You're just not, especially when your coach is punching your head coach. It's just not going to work out well. So I'm going to have to go with Dallas in this game. I just have a good feeling about it, and we'll see what happens.
The thing for the Giants and the Eagles, who I think are two better football teams than both of these two, is that the schedule is so difficult going forward. So I know that the Eagles just are out of room to turn this thing around. Last week was the only win that they could get in the next few weeks. They're playing Seattle this weekend on Monday Night Football. That's not happening. They're not beating Seattle. Their schedule is brutal going forward, so they're out. The Giants have a difficult schedule as well, though they're playing the most consistent football out of any of these teams in this division. Is just going to, I think, be a moot point because of the teams that they're playing, and not that they're some outstanding team either. I'm going to go with Washington here because I just can't get the first game that these two teams played this season out of my mind. And I know that Andy Dalton didn't finish the game, and I know that it was in Washington, and there were some elements and a number of factors that led to that result. But Washington beat the brakes off of Dallas in the first meeting, and that's just hard to ignore. I know that Dallas has played better football of late. I just trust Washington's defense more than any other unit on the field. I think that the Dallas offense can be boom or bust. We know that their defense is always bust. Offense varies for Washington, but that defense is going to be consistent. I like and am confident in the plan that Ron Rivera is going to bring forward. So I'm going to take Washington to take down the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. I think Dallas loses at home on Thanksgiving for a second year in a row. Of course, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, a game that we were all looking forward to. That one with huge implications in the AFC North divisional race will be postponed until Sunday. We talked about that at the top, and we will be limited to 2 games on Thanksgiving.